Excuse me, is there anyone sitting here?
No? Are you coming in for an appointment?
Yeah, I think they're going to tell me when my operation is. What about you?
Well, I'm waiting for my husband to pick me up. I had my op last Tuesday and I'm ready to go home now.
Oh, you look so well. I'm really worried. Well, I've never had an operation and I'm not really sure how it's all going to work.
Do you know what? I was exactly the same. There's nothing to worry about. I think the more you know before you come in here, the easier it makes it. You know, no surprises. There were a few things I was really glad I knew before I got here. They made a lot of difference.
Well, what kind of things?
Well, at the very beginning, it was the week before my operation. I was nervous, of course, and sometimes the family made it worse by asking questions I didn't know the answer to. So I sat down and read the info pack, cover to cover, and it was a big help. It helped answer all my questions and it made me feel, you know, in control. I started to get my bag organised. I remembered to only take the essentials. You don't want or need too much stuff when you're in. They told me to leave my jewellery safe at home and to only bring in a small amount of cash for newspapers and things. You also need to phone before you leave on the day you're coming in to check bed availability. They couldn't be more helpful and they let you know what time your bed will be ready. Getting there was quite easy too. Most people don't need to be brought in by ambulance unless they're unwell or can't use public transport. The majority make their own way in. I was lucky because my hubby drove me and we went into the multi-storey and crossed straight into the Walton Centre without having to step outside. I know the public transport is quite good too. There's Fazakerley train station just around the corner and bus stops all around the site.
And what were they like when you got here?
They were lovely. The lady who greeted me was very friendly. She was very nice and made me feel very welcome. I was checking into a hotel and asked me to wait in the day room. A nurse came in and said my bed was ready. She took me to my room, pointing out everything, like where to wash my hands, the same-sex bathroom facilities and call bell. I was lucky enough to be able to get a room to myself, although most patients were in the male-only or female-only bays. They looked clean and comfortable, but it was lovely to get my own ensuite in my room. Once I was settled into my room, the nurse used an iPad to go through all my details. It was all very high-tech, and they did what they called a risk assessment, which was fine. It's just about getting all the details right and ensuring you'll be safe. She told me all the do's and don'ts, and that I should tell them if I need to leave the ward for any reason. She also explained how important infection control is, and for patients and visitors, this is just about common sense, like hand washing, not sitting on the beds, not bringing any cooked food or flowers or gifts in, or not coming in to visit if you are unwell yourself. It's not difficult, and it helps them to do their job, which is to make sure we don't get any infections when we are here. Settling in couldn't have been easier. I came in the afternoon before my operation and had a very pleasant evening. They have a good selection of hot food, and although I needed to fast that night for my operation the next day, I was still allowed to have a drink of water through the night. The nurse put up signs by my bed so everyone would know I was fasting. I was pleased when I found out they didn't charge for the TV, so I settled down and watched some soaps, and then read for a little while before going to sleep. There is a nurse call bell and light if you need them, and the locker is just big enough for the essentials you need. I had a really good night's sleep, and before I knew it, I was speaking with a very nice anaesthetist. She was really nice and explained everything thoroughly, like how they would manage my pain. It didn't feel rushed, and she encouraged me to ask questions. I had a real laugh with the porter who came to take me to the waiting area. He was a hoot, and it completely took my mind off the op. The theatre nurse looked after me then, and the next thing I know, I'm waking up in recovery and being looked after by a specialist recovery nurse. You just have to rest straight after the op. They give you everything you need. I was in a little pain, and the nurse couldn't have been more helpful. As soon as I mentioned the pain, she was on it like a flash and gave me something to help, and then kept coming back to check I was okay. It wasn't long before I was back in my room. I was still feeling a little poorly, and as soon as I arrived, the nurse was working out with me how to make me feel better and get fully recovered. She kept checking back to see how I was, doing my blood pressure, temperature and things, asking if I needed anything for pain or nausea. I know I must be feeling better because I was really hungry. That was no problem. I had missed dinner time, but they sorted me a lovely hot meal. By the next morning, I was feeling a lot better, but still needed some recovery time. Had a nice day, and then my husband came to visit me. The nurse had explained about visiting times and how many visitors you could have, and I understand why. It can be quite overwhelming if too many people are around you. A physiotherapist came to see me this morning to make sure I was well enough to go home and to talk through what I needed to do and explain how they will help. They were great and very clear about how I can help myself get better and moving again. And so my op was last Tuesday. And look, I'm going home today and feeling a lot better. My husband should be here soon. Oh, I'm sorry. I've just realised I've been gabbing on for ages.
Oh no, it's been very interesting, and do you know what? You've made me feel so much better about hearing your experience.
I'm really glad to hear that. I know it's a worrying time, but you couldn't be in better hands. Oh, here he is now. I'll have to go. It's been nice speaking with you. I do hope it all goes well for you. I'm sure it will.
Okay, thanks very much. See ya. Take care.
Yes, they really did look after me, and they've sent a letter to my doctor so she knows where we're up to, and I've got to come back in a couple of weeks' time for a follow-up appointment with the consultant or one of his team.
What's about the dressings?
Well, I've got the district nurse coming round later in the week to check on them.
Well, that's good. It looks like we're all sorted.
Yeah. Great, let's get home. I can't wait to see the dogs. Are they okay? Have they missed me?
Yes, and they have.